Now, corporate Democrat Senator Joe Manchin, he loves coal. Are you surprised by this? Of course he loves coal. He loves the coal industry. That's who he gets paid for. And that's actually something he and Trump have in common. Now, another thing they tend to share is their fondness for the Paris Climate Agreement. In a statement supporting Donald Trump's decision to move us out of the climate deal, he said this, quote, "While I believe that the United States and the world should continue to pursue a cleaner energy future, I do not believe the Paris Agreement ensures a balance between our environment and the economy." Now, the Hill also reports that Manchin advocated finding a deal that would protect the nation's consumers as well as energy-producing states like West Virginia. Now, we know that as not really protecting his state, but protecting his donors. I mean, this guy is in favor of blowing up the majestic mountains in his state in order to get to the coal and poisoning the rivers. So, not really looking out for his state, but sure he's looking out for his donors in the coal industry. Now, the senator who was up for re-election in 2018, hey, we've already have a challenger to him, by the way, Paula Jean Swearengin. So,
yeah, and Paula Jean's great. First of all, Paula Jean is very much an environmentalist, and she very much harps on that as one of the issues she's passionate about. I mean, West Virginia, and you can find the footage on MSNBC. I mean, even a corporate media outlet. There's town hall footage of moms in West Virginia crying because of the stuff in the water that their children have been exposed to, because they have what's the removal process called? I'm like having a brain fart to what it's called right now, but they do the mountaintop removal for coal, and they still do a lot of that stuff in West Virginia, and it's having serious environmental effects, and a lot of West Virginia is very poor. The economy in that state is not great. And, I used to live out that way. I mean, I grew up in Pittsburgh. So, when I was on the road, I would do a lot of shows in West Virginia. I went to West Virginia a good bit. Sometimes it was for colleges. Sometimes it was just for whatever. That's a struggling state.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And, I mean, it was to the point where, like, and I don't want to go off on a thing about how West Virginia is struggling, but one of the rooms that I used to do in West Virginia, you would always try to get booked there towards the beginning of the month. As a comic, you would want to try to get booked there towards the beginning of the month, and the reason for that was because a lot of times that's when people would get their welfare checks.
Yeah.
So they were more likely to buy your merch, like buy a CD from you or buy a T-shirt from you, because they had just gotten their check.
Right.
So it's a very struggling area. There's not a lot of jobs there, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of these people find themselves in a desperate situation where they have to have these jobs that have serious environmental hazards on their health and their communities, but there's nothing else. And that's a state that would benefit so much from a Green New Deal. And someone like Paula Jean, she knows that, she sees that, and she's a West Virginian through and through. And Joe Manchin is one of the most blank suit dino corporate Democrats of them all. I mean, he's not a he's a Republican. So, hopefully she primaries him out.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, what he was also saying is that he was calling for incentives to further develop fossil fuel technologies. And my question to that is, why develop something that's dying? It's a dying industry. Coal is a dying industry. In fact, right now there are far more workers in solar energy, just solar energy, than all of fossil fuels combined. This is according to the Department of Energy's 2016 numbers. There are only about 86,000 Americans working in coal. Let me show you a graph here that I have. This is how many people working in the different, energy sectors in the nation. Look at solar. 373,807 people, old jobs, and then 86,035 for coal, 52,000 for natural gas. And look at wind power, man. Wind power beats out coal. There's more people working in wind than coal. So, that's not where the jobs are. Coal is not where the jobs are. Oil is not where the fossil fuels. It's not where the careers are. It's not where the good jobs are. And yet we're continuing to have senators that are barely Democrats or call themselves Democrats, which are really Republicans, as you point out, continuing to push this technology. And why? Well, it's because it's their donors. I mean, you have Joe Manchin's highest donors. Number one, mining. He got $343,850 in legalized bribes from the mining industry. Number three, electric utilities, his third largest donor, $269,000. Lobbyists, just general lobbyists, $186,000. And number six, oil and gas, the sixth largest donor, $182,000. So this guy he's for sale, and they have taken advantage. But what's funny is that you just saw coal is dying, right? In fact, you even have earlier today, to try to justify cutting energy and pulling out of the Paris Agreement, you had EPA Chief Scott Pruitt claiming on some of the Sunday shows that the coal industry has grown by 50,000 jobs over the last few months. So wait, you're saying that since there's about, 86,000 I pointed out? Let me bring the graphic up again. 86,000 people working in coal. That means there was only 30,000 people working in coal earlier. That's insane. 50,000 people in the last few months. That's a complete and flat out lie from Scott Pruitt. And what's even more funny is that inside the Trump administration, you had Gary Cohn out there, who is inside the Trump administration, saying coal doesn't even make that much sense anymore. Quote, if you think about how solar and how much wind power we've created in the United States, we can be a manufacturing powerhouse and still be environmentally friendly. That's Gary Cohn. That's a guy that's inside the Trump administration. It's amazing.
Well, I mean, I think more and more people are realizing it's a dead end. And the one sort of uplifting thing about everything that's gone down with the Paris Agreement is now people are really pissed off, and states and cities are taking it into their own hands. Like, what is it? Like 60 cities made these commitments for sufficient energy. Like, I know here in California, by 2045, we want to reduce emissions by a pretty significant amount and be way more energy efficient.
Yeah.
My hometown, Pittsburgh, recently responded to Trump's comment of I serve Pittsburgh, not Paris, or whatever it was he said. They responded to that saying, well, actually, we stand with the Paris climate agreement. Our Pittsburgh's mayor, who's a good guy, Bill Peduto, he's actually seen me perform a couple times, and we're fellow progressive buddies, and he is a good mayor. So they made some good efforts, and other cities are now standing up. So on a micro level, here in the States, we're still gonna hopefully be doing our part.
Yeah.
So that's the one cool thing about all this, because I have a feeling, if it wasn't for the disaster that is Donald Trump, we wouldn't be as adamant. It would kind of be creeping along with more of the same, where there would be more fracking and nobody would want to focus on it. So in a way, that is the sort of silver lining through this disaster.
Yeah. Yeah, and interestingly enough, you said there were cities and stuff. There's actually 3 states that are joining together to try to hit those goals from the Paris Climate Agreement. You had New York, California, and Washington all joining together in the Climate Alliance. And I talked about that last week. But something I don't think that gets brought up enough, and I think it kind of dovetails into one of your points, is that the Paris deal, as it stood, wouldn't have hit the goal as we needed. Like, it wouldn't hit the climate goal. Now, it was good to get these nations on board, but remember, it wasn't even binding. It was a non-binding agreement. And in order to really hit any of the goals that we have to hit to avoid the most catastrophic effects of climate change, we have to have a massive energy revolution now. We have to cut our energy, we have to cut our carbon emissions now, but nobody wants to do it. Now, onto your point of people, getting a fire up under their ass about this as a positive of the Trump administration, I got a poll I want to share with you. This is from a new Washington Post ABC News poll. It said opposition to Trump's decision outpaces support, and this is for pulling out of the climate agreement. It outpaces support for it by roughly 2 to 1. 59% opposed the move, 28% of support. Republicans, of course, are not as united in support of withdrawing as Democrats are in opposition to it. 67% of majority of Republicans support Trump's action, but that drops to 22% among independents and 8% of Democrats. Just over 6 in 10 independents and 8 in 10 Democrats oppose Trump's action. So now this is on the radar, right? And when it's on the radar, there's progressives that can get people to rally behind them on doing more than just hitting what the Paris Agreement was. Because again, I think we can both agree that that wasn't enough.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't enough, but I think that, I mean, it still doesn't justify bailing out of it. I mean, especially since Donald Trump's
absolutely.
reasons
I'm
for
not making
bailing
that
out.
argument.
Right. I know you're not, but just just to clarify, especially since we all know Donald Trump's reasons for bailing out are not because this doesn't go far enough. His reasons for bailing out, I mean, first of all, it's the people that are influencing him,
right?
And second of all, it's because he is the adult epitome of I'm going to take my ball and go home. Nobody was nice to him. On the world stage, Macron didn't want to shake his hand. He was rude to Germany and that other prime minister that he shoved.
From Montenegro.
So, yeah, right, Montenegro. So this is a guy that is literally an adult version of, well, I'll show you. I'm going to take my ball and go home. He's an adult only due to the fact that he spent 70 years on this planet. Certainly not mentally.
Yeah, but that ball, by the way, that ball that he's taking home, that's the globe. Because I think we're the biggest or second biggest. I'm not sure which, because I read conflicting reports. We're the biggest polluter in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of have a responsibility not to take the ball and throw it in a volcano. Which is essentially what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, so like a lot of times when people are about, well, it doesn't go far enough. That is true. But keep in mind, I mean, that's something that sometimes the right wing tries to say, or they try to. It's like, let's focus on the fact that this was a terrible move by his part, and hopefully there will be a response to that's going to be a huge increase in environmental stewardship, because we're very far behind right now, and we're pretty much at the point of crisis.
Yeah, and it's because we're the only nation that has a major political party that doesn't believe in science. And I know science is not something you can believe in, but they don't accept reality. They don't accept facts. And what is interesting is that more of their voters than ever before know that climate change has actually happened, but the party, they're not doing anything about it. And a lot of the voters think that even though, we know, sure, we believe in climate change, we know it's happening, but we don't think it's going to affect us. There was that same poll where a lot of people answered across the nation, yeah, I believe in climate change. I don't think it's going to personally affect me, so sucks for you, but I'm going to be okay. It's that mentality. The thing is, though, we all share the same climate. We're not going to be okay. We're all screwed, and this extra 4 years of Donald Trump is not going to help a damn thing. But I guess going to the fact that there is a silver lining in this, people are fired up now. So maybe we can actually get something done. We can transform our energy system away from fossil fuels into the 21st century with renewable energy sources. And it's my hope that we can actually do that in the coming years after Trump.
And like you point out, Jeff, I mean, public consensus is very much getting there, even just in the fact that, we used to say, like, people don't believe in climate change, which, as we've pointed out on this show, as I've pointed out, that's not something you can or can't believe in. You can't just be, well, I don't believe in it. Well, you can believe or not believe in a God. You can't believe or not believe in science. You just accept it or you don't accept it because it's evidence-based. So we don't say that anymore, though. Even in like the corporate media, they now call these people climate change deniers, climate change denialism, because you're just denying it. And in the case of Republicans and some Democrats, more Democrats than there should be, their job relies on them to not accept it. They have a lot of incentives to not accept it, and that's why they don't. But you know, the world at large does accept it. Most people do accept it. So yeah, I think there's a certain awakening that we didn't have during the Obama years, that we've never really had before. I don't think it's all just because of Trump, but I think Trump certainly lit a fire under a lot of people's asses, which is not a bad thing. So yeah, I mean, hopefully on a micro level, we're really gonna combat some of this because we need to do something.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.